Alrighty, so Professor, our last recording for the day, our last little interview, and the last one in the belts as well, the brown and the black belt. Let's start with the brown belt. When did you get your brown belt?
I got my brown belt, that was 2005. Yeah, I did quite a few competitions as a purple belt. And then at the end of 2005, after achieving a good result in these comps, I got my brown belt, which is super exciting. I was probably a little bit of expecting that already, but you never know if we're going to get it or not. But because I've been like a purple belt for quite a bit already, so that's how it happened.
Was it exciting partly because you know the next belt is the big one, it's the black belt immediately after? Or was it exciting in its own right as well?
I think it was exciting in its own right as well, in the sense that now there are some other rules that apply to the fight. You can do foot locks and can do toe holds, leg locks. So that was exciting. I was pumped to compete in this next level as well. And also of course exciting getting the recognition at the gym. Okay, now you move up a little bit on the line. Now you're a brown belt. So a few reasons.
Okay. Something that I struggled to kind of think about when I was trying to come up with questions about the brown belt is that it seems to me, you get your white belt. Blue and purple have very distinct kind of flavors because they're some of the first color belts you get. Jiu-jitsu is still pretty new, but you're also finding your feet. And then I don't know how better to describe it, but there's almost like a trough where it seems like the brown just happens on the way to black. So how would you characterize the brown belt? Because I'm sure I just don't know enough to fill in the gap. But is the brown belt just a stepping stone, or do you think it has its own kind of personality too?
I think it somehow is a stepping stone towards the black belt, right? You're closer to the black than ever and more removed from the other belts, but it's still not a black belt yet. So I think it's more a reinforcement in the sense that, man, you are on your way there, just keep going, keep doing whatever you've been doing before and try to sharpen up those skills because you're getting to your black belt. So I think it's a stepping stone towards it.
Okay, and you spoke as well, when you get to blue and when you get to purple, the feelings of responsibility start to mount. As a brown belt, was that kind of like, oh man, I'm gonna get my black soon? Was it too much to deal with, or it felt good by that point?
I think it felt great by that point, and it's even more that need to like inspire people and try to help people who are studying. I think that starts emerging more and more because people come to you and ask, okay, how can I do this? How can I do that? And then you start slowly giving back, right? Stuff that you learn, that people spend hours and hours teaching you and passing on the knowledge to you. You start having the feeling that, okay, now I'm giving a little bit back to people as well.
So then was your experience at brown belt less about preparing yourself for the black belt and more about just like learning to experience jiu-jitsu differently as you became more and more of a teacher and a coach?
Yeah, as it changed, I think it was more about exactly changing a little bit the perspective, helping people more. But by the time I was really focused on the competitions as well, so I was putting a lot of time on it to try to be the best competitor that I was. It was like a really tough generation of fighters as well that I would face in the big comps. Quite a few of the guys that now they are either on UFC or they were black belt world champions quite a few times. So it was a mixture of trying to prepare myself to the war against these guys and at the same time inspiring people at the gym a little bit.
Okay. How long did you spend at brown before you got to a black belt?
That was a long time. So I got the brown belt towards the end of 2005, and then I got my black belt in 2012.
Okay.
So that was a long time.
Yeah,
that was the moment that I changed schools as well. So of course that that had an effect. My Professor Mario, who never accept, oh, you're coming to the gym now and you're going to get your black belt straight away. No, that's going to take a long time.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
yeah, he's not the kind of black belt I imagine just throws away belts if he's producing guys like Marigali.
No, it was he set us, and we can speak about that later or not if you prefer, but he set a really high goal for me and other of his students to get a black belt, so he made it really hard for us.
Did you do a belt test to get your black belt?
No, I didn't do belt test. That wasn't a thing back there.
For any of the belts?
For none of the belts. None of the belts. On the black belt though, the goal that he set for me, and like Vicello was a really good fighter as well. He's a black belt 3rd degree like myself. But back then we were brown belts, really avid competitors, and he said, look, you're going to get your black belt whenever you get in the podium in the Worlds. If you get in the podium in the Worlds, hopefully first place,
no pressure.
you get your black belt.
Wow.
So that was a goal he set. Yeah.
When he told you that, were you like, yes, let's go? Or were you like, come on, man?
No, I was pumped because we were competing on like the high level, and we felt prepared for it. We thought we could win. I didn't win. I ended up like getting second on the. So back then they had like 2 world championships, right? One is the IBJJF, which is like the biggest one even nowadays, and the other one is the CBJJE, which was held in Brazil. So one in the US, one in Brazil. So that year I went to the one in the US. First fight, I lost to that guy. It's called Gilbert Burns. He's in the UFC now.
Of course.
He got second on that year. So I lost in the first fight, and then I prepared and I fought the one back in Brazil, and then had like 6 fights or so, and I came second. I lost the finals for like 2 points or so, and then at the end of the year, Mario, okay, here's your black belt. So I worked hard for it.
Was that emotional getting the black?
Yeah, it was.
Did you cry at the black belt?
Yeah, I did cry. I did cry.
I can feel it coming already.
You cry, and then you have all your friends there with whom you've been suffering on the mat for like such a long time. So yeah, it's a very emotional
big moment. Yeah. Okay. So then I know you see on Instagram and things black belts talking about being black belts, and they say like when you get to black you realize you're still a white belt. Do you think that's true, or did you have different feelings when you first got to black belt? And how do you feel about being a black belt now? So I know that's like 3 questions. It's a lot.
Yes, no. I think that's a great question. I think when you get a black belt, some people say it's like restarting again, right? And I think that comes from the fact that you get into the black belt and then you just realize that this is like an endless journey towards learning. That's all we realize when we get back to black. Of course, that's a reward for all the effort that you put, and that means that you conquered a lot of stuff, you put a lot of time on it, but at the end of the day when you get there, it's like, oh, actually, it's all about keep learning every day. So not going to go to the gym with a different perspective, it's the same perspective to keep learning it.
So I know we mentioned it, the other belts as well, that feeling of like, I remember my first roll with my blue belt on, I thought, damn, I'm pretty good, the blue belt superpowers. Did you feel that with the black belt? Did you feel like you could levitate or something?
Yeah, definitely. Or look at myself in the mirror, look at the black belt, and say, whoa, man, like, you made it, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so, no, that's for sure. You feel empowered, right? I think that's a word,
Right. We spoke about the sensation of responsibility at all the belts now. That must feel higher now than ever as a black belt. Is it ever something that is daunting, or maybe you don't think about it as much anymore, you're just used to it?
I think about that all the time. The way I feel about it nowadays, like, it's not only about you being good on the mats, right? About you having technique or showing people the technique, but it's about your behavior as a whole, right? And I think that's a big responsibility of people as they start progressing on their belts in jiu-jitsu. Is like, look, now you're a purple belt, you're a brown belt, you're a black belt. So it's like, I know you're good on the mats, otherwise you won't be getting those belts, but how about as a person, right? Are you setting a good example for other people? So I think that's a biggest thing, that's a biggest challenge for people, is to keep the same behavior on and off the mats. I think that's a best thing, because it kind of makes you have that behavior as well, right? You have that obligation.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So being a black belt, we spoke all the other belts. You know what to think about when you're trying to get to that belt. For majority of our gym, are white belts or a handful of blue belts, or like myself, purple belt is still very far away.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, or how often maybe along the whole journey were you thinking about the black belt? Or did you try not to put it on a pedestal, or try to just focus on like what's in front of you?
Yes, look, I always try to focus much more on what was in front of me, as opposed to thinking too far ahead. The reality is, like, and I know a lot of the guys who'll be listening to this, is like, you're going to get there. Just be patient, right?
Yeah.
And think about what you can do today to progress, as opposed to thinking too much about the belt itself, because it's going to come. It's just a matter of putting the time and the effort. So I never thought too much, oh, at that day I'm going to get my black belt. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's tricky. I find it it's the belt that I feel like I have the most questions about, but it's the hardest to ask questions about, and that's perhaps because I'm not a black belt myself. So we talked about how when you get a new belt, maybe your jiu-jitsu feels very different, because you feel that sensation of responsibility and confidence. Like, wow, maybe I am as good as a blue belt. But did you feel like that applied as when you got your black belt as well, but in other dimensions, like, I don't know, your self-confidence or the way you interact with people? Do you feel like that got a level up as well when you received the black?
I think that definitely happened, in the sense that, like, now you're empowered, right? You know that with like persistence and hard work, you already conquered this. You conquered the black belt in jiu-jitsu, which is, some people say that's the hardest black belt for you to achieve in any martial arts, right? Now I can do that with anything in my life now, right? Yeah, sure. Because I could achieve this. What can't I achieve? Yeah. So definitely empowered me a lot, in the sense of I can conquer anything as long as I apply the same formula that I applied here, which is like persistence and patience. Yeah, so made a big difference.
Okay. And with that in mind, that kind of, continuing to apply yourself to everything, because you know that with discipline and hard work you can achieve almost anything you want. And that's like what the black belt, it seems like you're saying the black belt teaches you, but how do you do you ever feel like, oh, well, I've conquered jiu-jitsu? What's kept you interested in jiu-jitsu for so many years past getting to the final goal?
Yes, I think two things, right? One, and probably the biggest one, is the community. Right. It's the people that I have around you, right? That makes exciting, because you can go there for like 10 days in a row and have the same kind of role with someone, but you're going to be interacting with people that you really like, right? That they have like different points of view about life. So the chatting after the training, I think that what keeps you together, right? Having social events and this sort of things goes beyond the martial arts that you do together, but there's that special bond that you create with different people. Now the second one is like jiu-jitsu is always evolving, right? And people are always evolving. So if I go to the gym today, I train with these guys. Now tomorrow I train different guys who maybe is the new Nicolas Merigali, who's like now is a green belt, but he's giving me a hard time. And then I'm gonna go there tomorrow again because I need to work on this and that. So jiu-jitsu is always changing. If it was the same thing over and over, maybe it would be boring. But it's ever changing martial art, isn't it? The game is always changing, and that keeps you motivated to keep doing.
Right. So I'm kind of it's another topic I want to talk about in a different podcast as well, but there's sort of, sometimes we talk about jiu-jitsu in terms of old school and the new school. Certainly things like berimbolo were not a big deal long ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like jiu-jitsu's changed a lot in the time from 1999 when you began until you're black and until now you're a gym owner in Australia?
Yes, it changed. It changed crazily.
Yeah.
Even like very technical things like the way people do half guard. When I started half guard, it was only for defense. Half guard was like someone underhooking your arm, you're there, what do you do? So that evolved a lot. What was created leg drags beforehand, you didn't have leg drags at all.
Really?
People always pass guard on their knees. People wouldn't stand that much. It was
Really? I
yeah.
can't imagine passing out staying on my knees. That sounds like a nightmare. Wow.
That was Fernando Tereré. Tereré was a guy who started like working more standing to pass the guard. So jiu-jitsu changed so much, but I think now it changes in an even faster pace because there's more people practicing, right? More people learning, so now it changes even faster than before.
Right.
So it's incredible the way it changed. It changed the way we train as well. I think beforehand it would be we spend much more time doing like the physical activities, like the warm up will last for a long time. There's quite a few things that changed, but I think it changed for the better in terms of like having a better structure, in terms of not treating everyone the same way as well. We have to understand that people come to jiu-jitsu for different goals.
Sure.
And when I started, everyone was throwing the same bag. It's like, you need to become a samurai. Either become a samurai here or you quit, man.
And
that wouldn't cater for.
World champions will go home.
Yeah. I think the flag that Gracie Barra has of jiu-jitsu for everyone, that's when jiu-jitsu really clicked for me. It was like, okay, actually, it's not only about the way I've been training for like competitions and because it's about like improving people's quality of life. That's what jiu-jitsu is the best tool for.
Yes.
So there's all these changes that happen, I think, during these 21 years.
Are those kinds of, because now you're kind of talking again about almost the philosophy behind how you teach or approach jiu-jitsu. Do those realizations happen more so after you got your black belt or in the lead up to, or it's kind of just, it's hard to tell, it's all just part of the picture now of how you think about jiu-jitsu?
Yes, I think it's all part of the picture, but I'll tell you that most of those realizations came after I got my black belt.
Damn. all the knowledge is on the other side of the belt. I figured you'd say that. Okay. That's frustrating. Oh well. Any last remarks on the black belt, or maybe maybe just the jiu-jitsu journey as a whole before we wrap this one up?
Yeah, so I think jiu-jitsu journey as a whole is something that is for most people I believe is the toughest thing they will ever do. That definitely for me was the toughest thing I got involved with, but it's the most rewarding one as well. And mainly, of course, it's about developing your own skills. But it's mainly about the people that you meet along the way, the beautiful people that you meet from different ways of life, and that builds a much better you. So I think that's the best that I got out of it, and including yourself here, the great opportunity. If it wasn't for jiu-jitsu, I wouldn't have met yourself, Nick. I wouldn't be chatting here, having this amazing conversation. So like you, like other people who are going to be listening, watching this, you guys make my life amazing. Having people around, I think that's the best thing that jiu-jitsu brings.
Right. It's interesting. I was thinking over the course of these interviews where we've talked from the white all the way to black, it's like jiu-jitsu journey starts. It's all about you and how to like get into jiu-jitsu and keep going. And then by the end, it's about like everyone else around you. Yeah. Cool. Very cool. All right. I've enjoyed doing these a lot. For today, I think we're done. There'll be some more topics coming up in the future, but until then, thank you very much again, and I'll see you back in front of the microphone soon.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Nick.
No worries. Us.